Fuck. I'm probably gonna get some hate for this one, but let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Mitch from thediyrecordingstudio.com, and this is another episode of Hold Ya G.A.S, where we talk about the latest gear, analog, and software releases, and whether you should unleash your unholiest of gaseous abominations or risk spontaneous combustion and save that hard-earned money for a rainy day. So as always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay informed of all our super highbrow, highly professional content. Well, the latest product is out from SSL. It is the new Big Six console. Does it hold up to the prestige of one of the greatest all-time console manufacturers? Or does it fall flat like a wet fart? Now, I'm going to preface this video firstly by saying I have worked and studied on SSL consoles for the last 10 or 12 years, both as a student at TAFE and at university, and I'm also lucky enough to work on an SSL console where I work as an audio teacher as well. The SSLs are amazing consoles, both to record and mix on, and I also think SSL are a great company. They make amazing hardware and software as well. So before we get into any shit slinging on my part, or in the comment sections below, let's just be clear, I have no bias for or against SSL in any way, and I definitely have no hatred to any of their products. This is just my opinion on this very specific product. Now, SSL state with their new product that the Big Six combines production tools from iconic SSL studio consoles with the latest in hybrid workflow. A G-series bus compressor with renowned auto release, E-series EQ, glorious sounding mic pre's with channel processing and advanced monitoring and routing, all designed on a SuperAnalog trademarked foundation brought together with full USB integration. Big Six is the essential SSL studio. Now, there is a lot to unpack here. There's some that I completely agree with, and some is very, very clever PR spin designed to blur people's perspective in a cloud of thick, sticky fog. Let's start at the top. Big Six combines the production tools from iconic SSL studio consoles with the latest in hybrid workflow. And I agree, it really does that in a really cool way too. It has USB connectivity to record directly to your computer, and then also you can return audio in post for mixing as well to the console and then retrack back into your Pro Tools or DAW of choice. And this is something the previous Little Six or Six didn't offer. And in theory, this has a lot of potential because you can not only track, but you can mix. It's all running via USB in and out, so it's really easy and really accessible to a lot of users without needing any other interfaces or digital audio converters or anything like that. So I've got to give it to SSL on this one. Very cool. Now, the next thing they state is a G-series bus compressor with renowned auto release. Now, this is where the PR spin starts to creep in, all silent and deadly like. Yes, the original G-series compressor has an auto release, but this isn't what it's really renowned for. The G-series bus compressor itself is renowned for being an amazing compressor used on the stereo bus in final mixing, or also on other buses like drum buses or groups of instruments. And it became very popular because it has this way of gluing tracks together in the mix, whilst also bringing out punchiness in things like kick drums and snares and pulling forward vocals like a VCA compressor does. And the G-series compressor is incredible in both hardware and software forms, and it's been used on so many songs too numerous to count. But the original G-series bus compressor has a lot more going on functionality wise than the compressor that they've put in this Big Six. And this is where things start to get a little bit stinky. Now, I'm sure this bus compressor is actually pretty good from what I've heard online through demos and gear reviews, and it still retains some of the original qualities of the SSL G-Bus compressor, but without all the functionality of the original G-Bus, like the actual attack times and release, things like high-pass filters on the more modern versions, and all that overall flexibility, this version of the SSL bus compressor might not suit a lot of sources. So, on to the next one, E-Series EQ. Fuck, they glossed over that one. This is where things really become a bit of hot air. Later on, they go on to say the SSL Big Six offers a broad stroke 3-band design with high and low band shelving filters at 3.5 kHz and 60 Hz, adjustable from plus 15 dB to minus 15 dB of gain, and a fixed mid-frequency control at 700 Hz. The high frequency and low frequency bands can be independently switched between shelving and bell curves. Now, I'm sure these EQs sound great for what they are, but this EQ is certainly not the same EQ that you would actually find on an SSL console. The actual SSL EQ is a 4-band parametric EQ that offers ultimate flexibility in both tracking and mixing. And if you pair this with the original high pass filters and low pass filters found on the SSL channel strip, you actually have a Swiss Army knife EQ section that can mix almost anything. And this is actually what made the SSL such a popular console. This EQ section cannot be understated. It gives you a lot of options across the whole frequency range with a lot more frequency selections, and this is what made the console not just versatile but extremely popular as an engineer's choice for mixing. Now, these EQs on the Big Six, on the other hand, are all fixed frequencies, and I'm sure that these EQs will work on some sources, but they definitely do not have the same flexibility as the original SSL's EQs, and this is actually what they're trying to sell you on. Later on, they go on to claim, all designed on a SuperAnalog, trademarked, foundation. Now, this is pretty fair. Yes, there is SSL SuperAnalog mic preamps on offer here, and that's awesome. And they surely sound as good as any mic pre that you're gonna find in another SSL console preamp section. But what buyers need to be careful of is that there are actually only 4 SSL SuperAnalog mic pre's on offer here. The other 8 channels are actually stereo line inputs that can either be used in stereo for those 8 inputs, or if you want to use them in mono, you actually have to sacrifice one of each of those channels. So you only end up with another 4 mono inputs at line level. So what this means is effectively, if you wanted to record more than 4 microphones at a time, you need another bunch of mic preamps to go with this console. So you'd need a bunch of outboard pre's like Neves or whatever you have just to get this console to a bare minimum of 8 tracks. So if you're going to record something like drums or larger bands, you would need a bunch of extra outboard gear to make this work. And this is where some of the real cracks start to show in the SSL Big Six. I could actually go on for ages breaking down all the specs in this console and their pros and cons, because really there's a lot on offer here. There's 4 quality mic pre's, there's 4 channel compressors and a bus comp. There are some great Q mixing options that I haven't even mentioned here. And the full USB integration to use this for tracking and mixing. But, and this is a massive one, in every video I've seen demoing this console, there are a lot of external mic preamps, compressors, EQs, and other outboard gear being used to really polish up the tracking and, most importantly, the mixing when using this console. And this is the crux of my argument here. The SSL Big Six is not a bad piece of gear, but it's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none solution to a recording studio. You'll still need a bunch of external pre's, EQs, and compressors to get the full functionality of this console in most studio situations. The EQs might be cool for tracking, but they will be severely limited when mixing. Even just one sweepable mid EQ would go a long way into cleaning up all that muddiness in a mix. So, does the SSL Big Six cut the mustard or cut the cheese? Well, I personally think that it has some big pros and some big cons. It is a console designed more for people doing home studio recording and mixing, mostly vocal work, guitars, and possibly stem mixes. But if you wanted to use it for anything larger like drum setups or live band situations, you're gonna have to really work to make this console work for you. And this is actually my biggest beef with the SSL Big Six. Tools are supposed to help us and make our jobs easier. With the Big Six, however, you kind of need to find workarounds for a lot of situations. And I can't think of anything worse than in a tracking or mixing session than trying to figure out some clever signal flow trick or patching or rerouting kind of trickiness to make this console work, rather than just reach for a channel strip or existing effects chain that already does the job. Is the Big Six a cool product? Yeah, most definitely. It's got a lot on offer, as I've already said here, but it's a half solution to most tracking or mixing problems. Its simplicity, whilst the strength, is also a major weakness. It will require you to strain and think of ways to do technical trickery instead of just getting your hands on some gear and being creative. For the cost, you might actually be better off buying some SSL channel strips or 500 series units that offer the same quality or better, and just expand your existing setup. I personally actually look forward to see what they offer next. Maybe something in the way of a true 8-channel interface and console with those same great pre's across 8 channels and a more usable EQ section. So for me personally, it's a Hold Ya G.A.S on this one. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment sections down below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and let me know what you think about SSL's current offer in the Big Six and any other gear that maybe you've purchased or acquired recently and what you think of it. I'm Mitch from thediyrecordingstudio.com, and I'll catch you soon.